September 28th, 2001. The San Francisco Giants and Arizona Diamondbacks are in a heated battle for the NL West Division title as the end of the regular season is creeping closer by the day. However, for Giants fans, the division title was arguably relegated to a secondary storyline. In the midst of perhaps the best offensive season in baseball history, Barry Bonds was now just 3 home runs from surpassing Mark McGwire as the single-season home run king. As for the outcome of this game, the Giants easily handled the Padres in a blowout victory, as they now sat just 1.5 games behind the Diamondbacks. At least that's what they thought. Just minutes prior to the end of the Giants game, Luis Gonzalez was rounding the bases for his 54th home run of the season. A season that largely remained in the shadows of both Barry Bonds and Sammy Sosa, until the season reached its conclusion. However, before I can play this moment, we need to understand the full context of the incredible season Luis Gonzalez just underwent. Gonzalez was drafted by the Houston Astros in the 4th round of the 1988 draft, who along with Astros' 18th round selection Kenny Lofton, ended their respective careers in the top 5 of career WAR among 1988 draft picks. But neither Lofton nor Gonzalez's best years were in Houston. After a cup of coffee in 1990, Gonzalez spent the bulk of the decade producing solid but unremarkable numbers with the Astros, Cubs, and Tigers, ultimately peaking at 23 home runs in 1998. So, when Gonzalez was traded to the Diamondbacks ahead of the 1999 season, it seemed like just another stop in his evolving journeyman career. But that was far from reality.
1-0 delivery. High fly ball, right center field. Could the streak end the game? Yes! Goodbye!
With this walk-off home run, Gonzalez extended his hitting streak to 24 games, a streak that ultimately ended at 30 games a week later. I'm not disappointed at all. I had a great run. I got the 30 games. There are a lot of players that are still playing that are good and have never had streaks like this. Rewinding back to 1999, Gonzalez accomplished much more than just his 30-game hitting streak. He made his first All-Star game, earned some MVP votes, and ended the year with his best season to date. Also, for just the 2nd time in his career, he played in the postseason, but he didn't make it out of the first round. Still, considering this Diamondbacks team won 100 games in just their 2nd year of existence, it was clear success was in their future. Although it wouldn't be in 2000, as the team declined to 85 wins and a 3rd place finish. As for Gonzalez, he declined in terms of WAR, but through the lens of a baseball fan at the time, he didn't decline much at all. In fact, he was one of only 3 players that year to hit at least 45 doubles and 30 home runs, joining Todd Helton and Carlos Delgado. Also, in a bit of irony, on July 6th, not only did Gonzalez hit the first cycle in Diamondbacks history against his former team, he hit the first ever cycle in the Astros' new stadium, Enron Field, which was renamed to Minute Maid Park in 2002 after Enron infamously collapsed. Although, in contrast to the downfall of Enron, Gonzalez continued to soar.
Signed a 2-year contract with the Diamondbacks, 2-2 to Gonzo. Deep drive, right field, and you can touch them all, Luis Gonzalez. The Diamondbacks shoot on top 3-2.
For a brief time at the end of April 2001, Gonzalez was the king of home runs as he joined Ken Griffey Jr. as the only players to hit 13 home runs in the month of April. Gonzalez's stint as the home run king was short-lived, as Barry Bonds took that title away a few weeks later and held on to it for the rest of his historic 2001 season. However, for a brief stint in the middle of July, Gonzalez temporarily regained the title of Home Run King. In addition to his 2nd career All-Star appearance, Gonzalez went through Bonds and Sosa to win the 2001 Home Run Derby. Still, even though Gonzalez proved his power was on par with the best of the best, the regular, common baseball fan didn't view him at that superstar level. In an ESPN online poll on the day of the Derby, Gonzalez, who had the second most home runs in the league, was ranked as the 5th most likely out of the 8 competitors to win the competition. Also, as the result of Gonzalez's win, a man named Thomas Knepp won a $250,000 house. Afterwards, Knepp was asked how much he knew about Luis Gonzalez. His response? I didn't know him at all, to tell the truth. How could this be? Gonzalez followed Bonds into the exclusive club of players to hit 35 home runs in the first half of a season, yet he was still being treated like a journeyman outfielder. Well, that's because 3 years prior, he was a journeyman outfielder, while Bonds was a 3-time MVP. Notoriety takes time to build, but as Gonzalez said after the Derby, I like it better if nobody expects you to do it and you surprise everybody. Well, if there's one thing no one expected Gonzalez to accomplish, it was hitting 57 home runs, a total that ranked as the 13th most single-season home runs in MLB history. However, Bonds and Sosa ranked in the top 5. Although there was a distinctive difference between these 3 players. Gonzalez was going to the playoffs, a feat that wouldn't have been possible without his contributions, given the Diamondbacks offense was below league average in spite of Gonzalez's historic season. A season where he played every single game and produced nearly 8 WAR. Still, this begs the question. How does a guy go from a career-high 31 home runs to 57 in a single year? Well, this transformation from a doubles hitter to a power hitter began a few years earlier.
Try to keep both eyes on the pitcher. I open up a lot more. My left foot, which is my back foot in the batter's box, is turned more towards the pitcher. So my hips are freed up a little bit more. I've always been a dive hitter that dives into the plate.
He began using this widened stance in 1999, which allowed him to hit to all fields. Also, in the offseason prior to his Diamondbacks debut, he added 10 pounds of muscle, a number that increased to 20 pounds by 2001. Of course, this brings out the elephant in the room. The potential of PED usage. To build up muscle, Gonzalez began working with Jeff Bagwell's personal trainer prior to the 1999 season. Around the same time, Bagwell admitted his off-season regimen included androstenedione, a testosterone enhancer that was banned by MLB in 2004. However, in the late 90s, while considered controversial, it was legal in MLB, even being sold in GNC stores. For what it's worth, Bagwell's admission to using this substance didn't keep him out of the Hall of Fame. As for Gonzalez, any assumed PED usage under Bagwell's personal trainer is still only an assumption. Plus, Gonzalez wasn't named in the Mitchell report nor any other investigation. His only quote-unquote link to PEDs is when Diamondbacks owner Ken Kendrick said there had been whispers about Gonzalez taking them, but he personally didn't have any suspicions. Gonzalez was angered by this statement, as to have your name associated with PEDs in any context damages a player's public perception. Given the era Gonzalez played in, I completely understand if you believe he used PEDs, even if it was one that was legal. But just know, there is nothing concrete. In this decade of baseball right now that we're going through, there's always speculation of things. 2001 always comes up for me with the 57 home runs. It was a great year for me. That's all I can say. Well, if there's one thing we can all agree on, it's that 2001 was quite the year for Luis Gonzalez.
The World Series, 1-2 pitch, deep to right, Diamondbacks take the lead.
With the game tied, Gonzalez's third home run of the postseason gave the Diamondbacks a 2-run lead in Game 1 of the World Series. A lead they held onto through the rest of the game, giving the Diamondbacks a crucial series lead against this Yankees dynasty. However, even with the Diamondbacks taking a 2-game lead the following day, the Yankees reminded everyone why they won 4 championships in 5 years. The Yankees won games 3 through 5 all by 1 run, but the impact of these losses dug deeper. In games 4 through 5, not only did the Yankees win in walk-off fashion, the Diamondbacks were 1 out from winning both of these games. For the Diamondbacks, Game 6 was now a must-win, and they treated it as such, scoring 15 runs, including 2 RBIs from Luis Gonzalez. Now, it was time for Game 7. Winner take all. For the first half of the game, it was a pitching duel between 2 of the game's best, Clemens and Schilling. Ultimately, it was the Diamondbacks who broke the tie, but the Yankees didn't let that lead hold for long as they tied the game in the following inning. Despite allowing 3 hits in the 7th, manager Bob Brenly decided to keep Schilling in the game, a move that backfired immediately as Alfonso Soriano hit a solo home run to break the tie in the 8th inning. The Diamondbacks got out of the inning with only a 1-run deficit, but that was more than enough room for the Yankees closer, Mariano Rivera. In 141 innings pitched, he maintained an ERA well under 1 and saved 42 games, including every championship-clinching game between 1998 and 2000. Now, he was aiming for 4 in a row. At first, it was going as expected, with Rivera striking out the side, all with cutters. One of the strikeout victims was Luis Gonzalez, who detailed facing Rivera like this. The hardest part about that is that you know what he's going to throw you. You knew he was going to throw a cutter in on your hands, and you start looking for it, and it seemed like a Pac-Man just driving in on your hands every time. Heading into the 9th inning, with the bottom of the Diamondbacks order set to hit, a Yankees win seemed like an inevitability. When this guy came in, 99.9% of the time, it was game over. However, to win the World Series, the Diamondbacks needed to represent that 0.1%. Mark Grace, single. Damian Miller reaches base on an error. Jay Bell, an unsuccessful sacrifice bunt, but now the top of the order was back in play. Tony Womack, game-tying double. Rivera was losing his grip on this game, which led to Craig Counsell taking a cutter to the arm, loading the bases for Luis Gonzalez. Gonzalez knows what pitch is coming. The entire baseball world knows what pitch is coming. But, as pointed out by commentator Tim McCarver, the Yankees were displaying one glaring flaw.
The one problem is Rivera throws inside the left-handers, and left-handers get a lot of broken bat hits into shallow outfield. That's the danger in bringing the infield in with a guy like Rivera on the mound.
Floater, center field. The Diamondbacks are world champions.
In an ironic twist, it wasn't the historic home run total that cemented Luis Gonzalez's legendary 2001 season. It was a bloop single, an outcome that's as fluky as it gets. However, as Gonzalez said, when you're a little kid, you think about the 7th game of the World Series. It didn't matter how the hit came. Following several more All-Star seasons, Gonzalez announced his retirement in 2009, and in 2010, his number 20 became the first to be retired by the Arizona Diamondbacks. From journeyman outfielder to team legend, Gonzalez will forever have a place in baseball history, most notably for his 2001 campaign, a year where his historic efforts often sat in the shadows of others. But ultimately, the lasting image of this season will forever be Luis Gonzalez accomplishing a feat millions dream of, but very few have ever achieved. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did, subscribe to Start Raving Sports, and check out my channel, Sports Storm, where I promise I will be uploading very soon. Thanks for watching.